So you're back for for the bonus round, round
Bonus
two
round.
of our interview, the fun part for all our Patreon guests.
Yeah.
How you feeling? Good? You ready?
Feeling good.
Okay, cool, man. Well, first one off the
Fire
rank
away.
is what's your go-to order at your favorite hometown restaurant? Now, you took me out to a couple of restaurants when we were out there, so I might have a sneaking suspicion. But is there anything, what comes to mind straight away?
Yeah, we don't even go out to eat that much because we've got like dietary stuff. Plus, my wife is an amazing cook,
She
so
is.
it's it's a treat to be home and not go out. So it's hard for us to find stuff, but um, I'd have to say probably just a really good hamburger. That's kind of all American, right? It's this
Yeah,
total American diet, but I just love a really good hamburger and French fries.
yeah.
That's my go-to.
The cool thing about America is you don't go to McDonald's for your really good hamburger. You have
That's right.
so many other diners or just like hole in the wall burger joints that are just to die for. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, it was one of my favorite things in New York was to just experiment on all the different kind of burger joints there were. And it was pretty neat. So I'm with you, man. I good choice. Good choice. Getting a bit more serious here. What do you wish you'd known when you started out? Let's say when you just decided to leave your practice and take the launch to go. What do you wish you knew back then? What you did not know back then?
Mm. That's a good question. For the most part, I'm really glad I didn't know what I know now back then because I probably never would have started with it if I knew how hard it was going to be, if I knew all of the challenges. I tell people all the time that I think God protected me from a lot of that because otherwise I just would have been paralyzed and I wouldn't be able to. But I think one of the things that I've probably learned a lot over the years is that is to be more confident. That nobody really has all the answers. Nobody really knows, and I probably sometimes I get locked in and trying to figure all the answers out and trying to keep learning, and there gets to the point where you just have to say, look, I've researched, I've looked, but now it's time to just act. I really don't know, but let's give it a shot and try. And so I think I've learned a lot over the years not to be afraid of making mistakes, not to be afraid of getting it wrong. Just get out and start doing it. And God can use my mistakes as well as he can use anything that I happen to get right. So just get on with it.
I love that. Nobody's got it together. That's a good reminder.
That's right.
What's something that you're curious about right now? What's kind of piquing your interest?
That's a good question. I'm not sure which angle to take that. There's a lot of different angles.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just talk about like reading materials right now. I get in different phases of things I like to read. Sometimes I used to read like all trauma rehabilitation stuff. Super, everyone thought I was crazy. Now I find I get into all these different moods, and so right now I'm in a mood of, a lot of times I get in a mood of reading adventure stuff, adventure stories, but right now that's taken a little bit of a twist to read some like historical adventures, like about just, various things in history and adventure stories. So I like to learn more about that, about different people throughout history that have explored different areas and just learning about different periods of time. And
who was that guy you
like
told me about that like kayaked down the Nile or something like that? It was just absolutely gnarly. I remember you telling me that, thinking, I want to do that. I was like, well, you're crazy, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just some of those stories. There's just great adventurers out there that I love to hear their exploits.
Oh man, you're one of them. They'll be writing about you too. Um, okay, what's something you have failed at recently?
Oh man, recently, huh? Um, ah, well, I always feel like I want to be a better husband and a better
Mm.
father. I've, I'm daily failing in that area in some way or another.
The best husbands and dads
Uh,
do feel that way. So,
yeah, yeah. It's definitely a lifelong, challenge to get better and better. So I definitely feel like I make mistakes in those areas that I keep making that I wish I wouldn't. But you know, I had planned to exercise a lot more than I did this year, and now it's
uh
going to be winter, and so I
huh.
failed at my plans to get out on my bike more and exercise more. So and then you mentioned rock climbing. I do like to
mm,
rock climb. I was out
yeah.
rock climbing this summer a bit, and the last route that I did, I failed. I didn't make it. Didn't
Oh,
summit it. It was a harder route. It was a harder climb that I had done, and I was really hoping to make it, but I didn't make it. So yeah, there's always failures. You're always failing.
oh man, it's good, man. I tell you what, it takes so much strength in your even your fingers and your arms. I mean that could be where it's all kind of won and lost, right? It gets down to those
Yeah,
tiny little muscles and man, that's uh
yeah.
that's awesome.
But I love that question, Tim, because I love failing because it means that I'm pushing myself beyond. I'm not just doing something easy. I'm challenging
Yeah.
myself, and when you do that, you're gonna fail a lot. But that's where you know
Mm,
where that line is, that limitation, and then hopefully you push beyond that the next time. So yeah, that's a great question.
yeah, that's true. It's probably why it's in there, but I never thought why that's such a good question. That's really cool. Um, this might be touch on a sore spot for you, but if you could live in another country right now, where would you live and why?
Mm. Yeah, I would love to live back in Iraq again, live
Mm,
back in Kurdistan, Iraq. But the last time we were there with my family, we were all really grieving not being there, not living there. But we all kind of came to the conclusion that um, rather than feeling like we needed to live there, really what we were feeling was a deep appreciation for the fact that we had lived there, that we had
that's
that
a
experience.
really good.
And so I think if I could live anywhere, it would be someplace new, someplace
Mm,
brand new that I hadn't lived before, and experience something brand new. Right now, I am really grateful that I'm here in the U.S. It took me a while to get to this place of gratitude
mm-hmm.
for being here. I was, like I said
Mm-hmm.
before, angry for a while, but I'm really grateful now because I'm close to family. I'm close to my parents, my brother. It's really good to be around loved ones, to be around
Mm.
family.
Well said, man. That gratitude for what you miss, and turning that around and being thankful that you actually did get to experience that's a really
Mm.
really beautiful way to put that. Um, we just obviously had a hour long interview. Is there anything I should have asked you in the interview that I didn't?
I don't think so. No, I don't. I don't think there was anything that I felt like we missed.
We could have talked about your amazing family more and how they're doing. Please say hi to Julie for us and tell her
Yes.
that yes, every time we hang out, she's always got some delicious dish that she's brought with her or she's preparing for us, and yeah, I know Sarah and I hope we get to all be together again soon.
Yeah, we do too. And you're right. That is something we probably should have talked about more in the other interview. As my family, they really are, the best part of my life, and so they're really amazing. I'm the most blessed man on the planet. So I would love to have them make sure they're recognized
Yeah.
a bit more in this whole process.
Well, that's my fault. I should have gone there. And so man, I mean, just to know that your daughters are so passionate about the work, have been such a key part of the work, and want to continue in the future to. I mean, that's a parent's dream, isn't it? To know that your kids want to just follow along in the work that you've begun. So yeah, they're definitely wonderful.
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, my daughter Emma, she was just married in June. Her and her husband Jay, they're doing amazing, and I just can't wait to see what God's going to do with them. And of course, my other daughter Grace, who I didn't mention in the other interview, Grace is doing amazing. She's 16, almost 17 years old, and she's an amazing young woman, and I can't wait to see what God's going to do in her life as well.
Yeah. Oh, so last couple questions. Who has inspired you? Who's someone that you've looked up to? They could be dead, they could be alive, but is there anyone that comes to mind when you think of who's been an inspiration to you?
Yeah, I'm really inspired by anyone who passionately loves Jesus Christ and is passionately committed to really following Jesus and taking what Jesus taught us seriously. It gets so easy, I think, for us to gloss over the difficult things that Jesus said and to kind of read the Bible through a certain filter. But anyone that's wrestling with the words of Jesus and trying desperately to live that out more radically in their lives, man, I've got a lot of respect for that, for sure.
Well, that just perfectly ties into the last question. A lot of Jesus's words speak to the heart of suffering and injustice and the poor and the brokenhearted and the oppressed. His very heart of what he said he was here to do was to mourn with those that are suffering, to break the chains of injustice, to go to the prisons, to, the verse in Luke 4 where he quotes Isaiah, the prophet, Isaiah 61, and he's just talking about this work of bringing good news to those that are in darkness and those that have been oppressed. And so, wrestling with those words, I think, and living those out are a lifelong challenge and journey. And, I think it is a work of true justice, of seeking true justice. And can you sum up why justice matters to you in light of that?
Yeah, I think you summed it up great, Tim. I think justice matters to me because it matters to God. Justice matters to me because it matters to Jesus. And Jesus taught us that. And, I had a pastor one time, a friend of mine, put it this way. He said, I'm sure Jesus is at the weddings and he's there in the good times, but I know that he's there at the funerals. I know he's there in the hurting places. And so that's where I want to be. I'm sure Jesus is in, these, the happy, joyful times, but man, I know he's there with the broken and the hurting. I know he's there in the refugee camps.
Mm.
And that's where I want to be. I want to be part of his 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 love. I want to be his hands and feet. So, yeah, I guess in short, justice matters to me because it matters to God.
Thank you, Carl. I want to be where they are too, and where God is. And I find that He's always in our company together, and I feel like He's been with us. And thank you so much for just chatting, man. I'm going to be on the call to you very shortly, and looking forward to all that the future holds. You're a good man. Love you heaps, mate.
Thanks, you, Tim. Love you too, man. And it's always great talking to you. It's always a great just being together.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.